Hi everyone, welcome back to Yellow Cottage Soapery. I thought I would do a quick video showing you guys how I line my wooden molds. I've been asked many times, so I thought I would go ahead since I'm lining them anyway. And you're going to want to use freezer paper. People have asked me about parchment. I believe parchment would probably soak up some of the oils in your soap, whereas freezer paper does not. So you're going to want to get, I'm at the end of my roll. I already cut this and then realized I was going to do a quick video. So whatever size your mold is, you want to cut your paper so that you know that it's high enough to go up and cover the sides, come over so that you have room to tape it. I recommend cutting your piece a little bit bigger to begin with, and you can always, cut it down to the size that you need. I'm going to zoom out just a little so you guys can see better what I'm doing. Okay, so I've already got this paper measured, and this right here, I kind of just line it up so there's about the same on both sides, and then also the same on the ends. And this next part I actually learned from Jen from A&N Suds and Such. She has a channel here on I almost said Facebook, on YouTube as well, if you want to learn and watch her make soap. So what I do is I just kind of set it on the top like this, and this will work for any mold. And I just kind of hold my hands on one side of it, and I take my fingernail and just kind of run it along the wood right there. Now try to keep your paper straight. That's really important while you're doing this. And then I kind of come over and I do the same thing on the other side. Just take your time with this. If you rush, it kind of, your paper shifts. And then I do the same thing on the end here. And then again over here. Okay, so you have, hopefully you guys can see, you have your rectangle right there. And then I just move my mold. And I usually start on the end. I think this is where I do it different than Jen does it. I think she does some folding here. This paper is going to drive me nuts. This is the end of the roll and it wants to curl. Okay, so then I just start on the edge here and kind of guesstimate. I want to obviously meet my corner right here. So I just eyeball it and cut to my corner. And I do the same thing on this side. And then, because these are really long and you don't need them, they're going to be coming in the back of this, so you don't want all of this. I just take it and I cut it down so that I have just about this much left, enough to fold it around the back. I do the same thing. Tape on my scissors. I do the same thing over here. And they don't have to be even or anything, you know, these two. And I can tell this is going to be a little bit long just because I've lined this mold a million times. But I'll leave it and just show you what I do. Or you could just snip it off if you think you know the size of your mold. And then you just turn your paper around. I always do these ends first. And do the same thing. I always do the ends first, but obviously there's nowhere else to cut, so that statement didn't really make sense. But do the same thing. Drive me nuts. Do the same thing over here. Okay, so now you've got what looks like this. So then all you're going to do is fold on your line. And I try to make a really sharp fold. I do the two ends first. Okay, and then I turn it and do this part. Just line it up the best you can on your line. I usually line it up like this, hold it, and kind of go in the center and just do that. And repeat on this side. This usually goes really quick. The whole thing just takes me a couple of minutes to do. Oops. And just make sure you're really lined up well. That way your paper in your mold will be nice and have sharp edges. So then you're going to want to take it, and all I do is take these little tiny flaps, bring your molds, and I just stick in one side like that, fold these behind again, and stick them inside. So now you got what looks like this. Now I just kind of go in with my fingers and run along my lines here. Then again, I start on the ends, the short ends. I do everything on the end first. So then I kind of pull this taut in the corner and touch my scissors to the molds and cut it down. And then I cut some off because it's gonna, I don't need all of that. Do the same thing on this side. Okay, and then your paper is gonna fold over nicely. Turn on this light. I don't know if that helps or not. Okay, so then this is going to fold over the side. I always lean down and run my fingers along the edge, and then I always crease this, and then obviously I don't need that much, so I'm just going to cut a little strip off. I always cut out the pieces of my tape. You'll need four pieces per mold, and I always have that cut ahead of time. So then I just make sure it's lined up, and I go ahead and I tape one side down. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I pull it taut over here as well. Pull my paper up. These little floppies that you just cut are just getting tucked right underneath. Then I go in and I push it over here with my hand and kind of run my fingers along and make sure it's not bumpy or lumpy or anything. I'm just going to cut a little off this, and then go ahead and tape this side, and then all you have left to do are your bigger sides. So then I go in with my hand and I again run it along my crease down there and fold it over. This tape is just like duct tape I get at the dollar store, and one roll lasts forever. So then do the same thing, kind of put your hand in there, because you don't want to pull this and then pull this over. You just put your hand in there, and then go ahead and do the same thing. Before I tape it, I always just kind of go along the edges inside. You want to keep doing that just to make sure they're where they should be. And then you take your last piece of tape, and there you go. You're ready to make soap. So I hope this was helpful to some of you guys that were asking how I do it. And if you have any ideas for any other videos that you would like to see, just leave me a comment down below. I always look for different things to do for you guys to help you out. So let me know if you have any questions about this, and I will see you guys on the next video.